This is To the Front. Tools for today's top agents.
Hey, welcome back. Episode number 24 of To the Front. If you've been following along for a while, we are grateful. This podcast is all about giving agents, specifically captive agents, tools to take their agency to the next level. And maybe you're not an agent at all. You're a business owner or just a great mom or dad, and you're just looking for tips and tricks on how to better organize yourself and your family. Well, this is a great podcast for you as well. Now, I want to tell you, I'm a sports guy. I don't know if you like sports, so maybe you got to translate this over. But I'm a sports guy. My favorite type of sports are team sports. Now, I love golf. I love individual stuff, but I love team sports because there's nothing better than when a bunch of really talented players come together and they form a team. And then what do teams do? Well, teams do way more than what individuals can do. There may be no better example of this than Michael Jordan. When the Chicago Bulls brought Michael Jordan on, drafted him, there was not immediate success. So what did they do? Well, they went and they got Scottie Pippen. They went and got other team members to make a team. And then guess what? They had an amazing coach, Phil Jackson. And when they brought Phil Jackson in, that's what brought championships. And for some reason, I don't know why it is, and I've been guilty of this too, but sometimes in business, we think we don't need a team, nor do we really need a coach. We've got all the answers and we can handle it on our own. And I got to tell you, nothing can be further from the truth, and specifically when it comes to really competitive fields like insurance. In fact, the best agents that I know, the best business owners that I know, they have a coach. And so today's episode is titled that. Why do you need a coach? And to talk about that is my friend Tim Lindon from Your 212 Coach. Tim, how you doing today?
I'm great, Adam. Thank you so much. I appreciate the invite, the opportunity to chat, and I love the way you opened this program. I absolutely love the way you opened the program. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, brother. Thanks, brother. Hey, I appreciate that, man. If you don't know who Tim is, you should. Tim is a coach and advisor with Your 212, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Your 212 Coach, but just does a ton of things around rallying and coaching captive agents, puts on a national study group that is just absolutely phenomenal. If you've not been a part of that, you need to be. Also a partner in all kinds of other things like Soaring Eagle Study Group, lots and lots of things. Tim, what I love about you is that you're not only just a great coach, but you're a team player.
Thank you.
A big believer that when one boat rises, we all rise. And so that's why I had to have you on to talk about this topic, about why does an agent, as a business owner, need a coach? Because kind of like I said in the intro, the best agents I know have coaches. Mm-hmm. When the reason their water line is rising is because they've got someone there to help them with it. So before we get into that, though, tell the listeners a little bit about you. Tell them a little bit about Your 212 Coach, awesome. Maybe even about the National Study Group.
Awesome. So I started coaching insurance agents and their team members back in November of 1997. So 28 years ago, I walked into a profession, coaching or consulting. And I'll be honest, I probably wasn't the right guy. I probably wasn't the right guy for that particular job at that time. I just happened to know the right person who said, I like you and I want you to help me. And I want you to go out and coach these agents and State Farm team members to get better at whatever is most important to them. And so 28 years ago, I began this career without any background, without any knowledge of insurance. Heck, I didn't have life insurance. I had auto insurance reluctantly. And I walked into an agent's office with a blank sheet of paper and I said, how can I help you? Wow. What do you need help with? And I'll never forget a agent from Manalapan, New Jersey, one of the first agents I did coaching for. He was brand new in his profession. And when I arrived at his office, he said, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. I am so glad you're here. And I said, Sal, what's up? And he goes, I don't know what the frick I'm doing. I don't know what the frick. And I looked at him and I said, my God, Sal, I don't know what the frick I'm doing either. So we spent the rest of the afternoon just figuring it out on a very basic, very elementary stage, clean sheet of paper. Hey, what's important to you? And I've had a tremendous career. I'm so fortunate. I'm so lucky that to be able to do what I love to do now 28 years later. And it's steadily grown from all the way back in 97. We had periods of phenomenal growth. We struggled for a while. We screwed up. We had so much failure along the way that we learned from, we grew from. And thankfully here we are 28 years later, still following our passion of listening to agents and saying, what can I do to help you out? So we're 212 coach based on the foundation of getting better one thing at a time, one degree at a time. And just last year, we formed something called the National Study Group to get agents and team members away from Zoom cameras and get them back in a room together.
That's right.
Where they can learn from each other. You said something about teams. Teams do more. The motto of the National Study Group is all of us are stronger than any one of us.
Wow.
So to your point there. So that's a little background about me. So
man, I love it. And I think what I like specifically there is rather than coming in and kind of shooting from the hip saying, hey, you need to do this, this, and this, it sounds like your 212 approach is to come in to say, what do you need help with? What I also love, you said, what's important to you?
Yep.
Because the reality is that what's right and important for one agent might not be important at all for another agent.
100%.
And so it sounds like how your philosophy of coaching is we start there.
Yes. You have to start. Everybody wants to get better, but everybody wants to get better at something different. Yeah. And everybody's starting point is different. I can't go into, well, we do Zoom rooms where there's 200 people in it, and I can teach a class, but everybody's starting point is different.
That's right.
So everybody's finishing point is going to be different. So while that platform is really good and we really enjoy that, the coaching part is every person is unique. While they all want to get better, they're unique. Clean slate, what's most important to you, to your point, what might be important for one agent in a town, another agent in that same town might have something totally different. That's
absolutely.
We got to go in clean slate and just say what's important to you, and then we go from wherever their starting point is.
That's right, and those are, I think, the good examples. So I need to get into the topic because the topic is about maybe another mindset. And I don't ever want to judge an agent about why they believe they may not need a coach, but I do want to ask the question: why is it? Do some agents, do some business owners not think that they need coaching? Tell me about some of the objections that you hear from agents who they just attend an event because it was in a fun city, or they had a friend agent who was attending, but they're like, coaching's not for me. I'm not really interested. Tell me some reasons behind that.
Okay. So great. First of all, great question. In the world where I do most of my work with the captive insurance agent, I'm constantly reminding my team that even without us, these agents or these business owners are already successful.
Yeah.
They already, most of them can drive the car they want to drive. They can go out to dinner with their family when they want to go out. If they want to take a vacation, they can take a vacation. So for a lot of people, it becomes, they're good. They're like, man, I'm good. I'm able to do what I want. I'm hiring people. I'm recognized in my community. So for a lot of people, it's that feeling of I'm good. I'm in a good place. A lot of folks that don't pursue coaching, what I've noticed is you got to have courage. There's got to be a certain level of courage to say, I need help. Not only do I need help, but I want help. Adam, you go on Facebook, everybody looks like they've got a perfect life. I mean, because nobody's posting pictures of what's not right in their life. Nobody's posting pictures of what they screwed up with. It's all perfect. You got to have the courage, and you got to allow yourself to be vulnerable to say, "Hey, I want somebody else that will listen to me and give me some honest feedback." And that's not easy for the average person to do.
That's not. And you said courage. That's an interesting word, right? Because sometimes people think courage is handling it on your own, putting it on your own shoulders. Mm-hmm. But there's a significant amount of courage to say, I don't have all the answers, but I know somebody's got some things that they can teach me, no matter how successful you are.
No matter, every person that your listeners, everyone that they're listening to, including me, has somebody that's coaching them, or at least I hope they do.
Oh, for sure.
Because nobody has all the answers. We think we do, because we're proud. We're proud individuals. We're strong, and our society is kind of, is leading us all to think, hey, we got everything we need. And you're almost an outcast when you say, no, I need help. I need help. And so we're constantly saying to agents, it's okay to say, I need help. I need somebody to look at this for me, or I need somebody to reaffirm some things for me.
Yeah. It's like you don't get extra points because you did it on your own.
Yeah. No,
It's
you
not
don't.
like whenever you get an award or ambassador traveler or whatever, there's like a special category for people that did it on their own.
There isn't. There's something that's hidden though, and that is the sacrifice. You had a podcast recently about the effects of business ownership on relationships.
Yeah.
There's no reward for saying you did it by yourself, but there are consequences sometimes when you
Wow.
just try to do everything yourself, and those consequences can be life-changing. So it takes a lot of courage, Adam. It really does, and not everybody's ready for it, and not everybody's ready for it at the same time either.
Yeah. That's really insightful. There are consequences. I remember, Tim, I don't know if you knew, I was a pastor for a long time.
I did know that.
Probably 17 years. I didn't wear the cloth or anything. I was a evangelical dude, but I was a youth pastor. Almost got fired 100 times. But I remember that in my fifth year, it was my fifth year, right? My fifth year, a guy from the like Episcopal church, I was in the Baptist church next door, came over, and he came into our little youth cafe, and he was just playing our Guitar Hero back when the Guitar Hero was the thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing here? He goes, well, I'm here to take you to lunch. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm so busy. I don't know if I've got time, but sure. And so so Chris is his name. But over the next 3.5 years, Chris became my coach. And it was so funny because my youth group was bigger, more kids, more things going on. He was real small, but I got to tell you, when I leaned into that, a bunch of consequences that I was suffering because I was trying to go alone went away, because he was so wise and so insightful, and he could see things from a different vantage point.
I love what you're saying, because when I started my coaching business, it was so easy. I tell everybody all the time, it was Ann Cohen and I. There was no other coaches out there. There was nobody. And it was so easy. It was so easy. And 4 years into my coaching, 5 years, 6 years, all of a sudden, I had all these struggles I didn't even know about. And as fast as my coaching business was growing, or as fast as one of your listeners' businesses might be growing, it all can be taken away from you in a second. And I started losing some things that I didn't even realize I was losing. And then one day I woke up and I'm just like, man, I took a business that was going like that, and it cratered, because I refused to let other people see things for me. And I refused to let other people in. I refused to listen to people because I had all the answers. I had them all. And it took me putting my guard down and being vulnerable, where all of a sudden I was able to turn a catastrophe into something that's been rewarding for me from a career standpoint. And now my kids are in the career. So thank goodness I allowed other people in when I did. Yeah.
100%, whatever that objection is. So
yeah.
Okay, so tell me about the agents that you work with. What are some of the common things that they're looking to fix, or some of the things that you hear most of the time? Agents come to you, they're in sort of that triage intro session. They're like, Tim, can you help me with this and this? Tell me some of those things that, I guess, first off, tell me some of those things that you hear most common, because one thing that I know from talking to agents is that sometimes they think that the problems that they're dealing with are unique to them.
Mm-hmm.
And what you find out in networking and coaching is that you find out that most of the problems are pretty common. Mm-hmm. And there's some strength in that, right? So what are some of those things that our listeners that you hear? And then I guess my question is, do you uncover things that they didn't even know about that were problems inside of coaching? So tell me some things that are common that people come to you with, and then do people uncover other things?
Yeah, I love it. Love it. So somebody's going to come to me and say, I want more. I want more of this. I want more of auto. I want more production. I want more for my team members. I want more referrals. I want more appointments. I want my team to pivot more. I want more. I just want more. And more often than not, the more they want stems from seeing somebody else doing it.
Wow.
And because they see somebody else doing it, they're like, well, I can do that now. I should be able to do that. Or I want that. Some of it's material that they want. I want more production so I can, go and do 5 Airbnbs and have that car and other stuff. So most of the people that have come to me, they all want to get more of something. And it could be life insurance production, it could be commercial fire, it could be auto acquisition, whatever it might be. But most of them come to me and say, I want more.
Yeah.
And to a point that you just referred, I can't tell you how many times in a given day somebody says, well, first, let me make sure you understand what my market is. And you don't understand what my market is, and an agent from California will call me up right now and say, well, first, you need to understand this. A lot of folks think they're unique.
Yeah.
And the truth is they're not. The agent in the State Farm agent in California right now is not unique because they're pulling out of California. State Farm's attempted to pull out of New Jersey, Florida, and so many other states. So most agents will come to me and say, I want more. And then what is something that I uncover about them that they didn't even realize?
Mm-hmm.
They're all over the place.
Wow.
They don't even know what they want. They might say, I want more of this. But the truth is they don't really know what they want more of.
Wow.
And it's not only that, but what we uncover is that they are remarkably inconsistent and most of them just lack focus.
Yeah.
So when they say, I want more, and they're talking about how can we write more product knowledge, word tracks, and so forth like that, more often than not, Adam, we end up working on focus and not word track and product knowledge. We work on, just a simple discipline or focus, because that's, slowing things down, they get further.
So it seems like they come in wanting to fix a symptom.
Mm-hmm.
And the process of your 212 coach, really any good coach, is to say, yeah, that's important, but that's not the starting point. The
Mm-hmm.
starting point is, what is it that makes you unhappy about your production, or what are some of the internal things that push it sideways? Or maybe it's the comparison game, right? I forget who said it. I didn't make it up, but they said that, comparison is the thief of joy. And so they just have all this joy sucked out of their life because the agent down the street or the agent that they saw on the stage is producing all these apps, and they're a third of that. And all of a sudden their joy is sucked out because they're not there.
They're not there.
So I think that's wise is to say, is it more that you really want, or is it something internal that can make you not only a better business owner, but just a better person?
When you're trying to go more,
Yeah.
more. There's a massive turnover issue amongst captive agents.
Yeah.
We work with Farmers, Allstate, Michigan Farm Bureau, State Farm agents. Massive turnover issue, and a lot of it has to do with we just want more, and how can we qualify for that pin, that plaque, that promotion?
Mm-hmm.
These team members that we have can go down the street, and Chick-fil-A will teach them one word track. That's my pleasure, and get paid very well, without the stress of the more,
Right.
the constant chase. And I heard years ago, and don't judge me for this, but I think it was at like an Oscars award, Matthew McConaughey got up, and sometimes he goes off on a tangent, but he said, he said something about my hero is the person I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's not somebody else. It's the person I want to be.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's coaches that are coaching way more people than I, and I used to compare myself to them, and then I started slowing down, thinking to myself, no, I don't want to be number one there. I want to be number one for the person I'm talking to,
Yeah.
and make sure that they know that I'm going to be their number one. So it's oftentimes they come thinking it's this, and just through a simple conversation, they're like, something, you're right. I want to slow down, and I want to make this easier. How do I do that? It's usually focus.
Powerful. So why do you need a coach? Well, it sounds like you need a coach because you've got blind spots just like everybody else does.
Yeah.
And the blind spots might be being more harmful than we believe, right? So it sounds like they come wanting more success, but a great coach will not only help you maybe do that, but also help you to safeguard against things that can be incredibly destructive, like the game of comparison or the inability to focus. They have these built-in accountability structures. to make that happen. One thing I heard this week, and I want to ask you about it. I was talking to an agent, and I was talking about this upcoming episode, and they don't have a coach. And so I said, well, tell me, I said, there's a bunch of good ones out there. You know, we've had multiple on this podcast. So what is it? And why do you not want that? They said, well, I really like YouTube, and I can load up YouTube and I can watch all this instruction, and I get all the concepts, and I like to kind of work it out on my own. So I'm okay just sort of watching videos. And so they were thinking that instruction is the same thing as coaching. So give me your opinion on that. Are they the same? Are they different? One better than the other? Tell me about that.
Listen, I've had a love-hate relationship with it. I'm going to be very honest, love-hate relationship. And I've learned to realize that there's great space for it. Okay. I love it because I can record something on YouTube and get it out to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I see a lot of folks that are now coaching in Allstate, State Farm, Michigan Farm Bureau, who put out a lot of videos and a lot of content, who host 8 Zoom sessions or 15 Zoom sessions a month and say, here's the schedule. And that is an amazing reach. It's an amazing reach to deliver content to people. But my hate part of it is, and I've learned how to balance it because people learn different ways. The reason I hate just putting Zooms out there and YouTubes and clips is we have what's called professional Zoomers who are now watching 50 Zoomcasts a month, and or they're looking at a calendar saying, okay, these are the 8 sessions that we're going to learn on this month. And the truth is, that's somebody else's agenda.
Yeah.
It's not your agenda. I liken it to this. Adam, you and I are going to go to the library this afternoon because you and I want to go to Italy together. You and I want to take our wives to Italy. So we're going to go to the physical library. Remember the old days in the library? We're going to look for a book on touring Italy because we know nothing about it.
Yeah.
As soon as we walk in, you see a book about the Kentucky Derby. And you're like, oh my God, Tim, check out this book. It's about, it's my Kentucky. I love, oh my God. And then as we're looking at it, I see a book about bourbon. And then next, we're looking at a book about the Kentucky Wildcats basketball team. Your phone beeps and it's your wife saying, where the heck are you? And you say, Tim, I got to go. We just spent 2 hours in the library.
Yeah.
We went to get a book about Italy, and we ended up getting distracted looking at so many different other things.
Yeah.
It's a great reach. It's a great to be able to give content. But what I find a lot of times is people start just following that content and not doing anything with it. Whereas the coaching part of it is, it's a clean slate. You dictate to me what it is that's important to you. And we talk about what's most important to you on your schedule, your agenda. And then that way we see some real growth for you and your team.
That's right. It's funny. Did you know I just rented a place in Italy today? Did you know that?
No. I had no clue.
You sure?
I know you like Kentucky. I know you like bourbon. I know you like the Kentucky Wildcats. I think you do. And I know you've gone to the Kentucky Derby. But Italy, I had no idea.
So my son plays soccer in Italy, and literally just rented a place for weird, totally weird. But that's my ADD taking me into a different place. Okay. But what I heard you say is really important, right? Because it's like if you're just into instruction, then essentially kind of like a library, you've got all kinds of different instruction and content, but you don't know which one fits right for you. It's easy to get distracted. Maybe it's the same way as saying, hey, you've got a gun to shoot. That's your agency, but don't think that every bullet fits your gun.
Right.
And there's really only probably a couple that work for it. And it sounds like to me, the difference in instruction and coaching is a coach helps you to figure out which bullets are appropriate.
That's a great analogy.
And which ones to stay away from, right? Which books do you need to pick off the shelf and which ones do you need to sit right there? Yeah, that's why you need a coach.
That's why you need a coach, because your coach is going to say, yeah, something that looks like a great book, but put it down because let's get the book on Italy and then come back and look at that.
That's right.
Then come back and look at it. Yeah.
That's right. They help you to sort of figure out what the big rocks are and go from there. I have to imagine how many. I heard a stat the other day. Actually, it's been a long time since I've heard it, but for one specific company that's got something like 20,000 agents, I heard that at least 10,000 of them are unengaged in their agencies. They're not active. That's what somebody said. They're really not, or maybe it's like 8,000 of them are not active. Have you heard that stat before? Like specifically in captive agencies that they'll kind of build a book and then they just kind of let the book ride.
I haven't heard numbers, but I see production reports, and you can tell the ones that are really active and the ones that are not. And that midway, that line of who is and who's not is usually about halfway down the list.
So maybe that checks out.
Yeah, so it probably checks out. If you're talking about a company like Allstate or State Farm, those people that are, in your words, checked out or maybe not producing as well, a lot of their production comes from their national advertising campaign.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So they're lucky enough to benefit from that. And even those agents though that are at the bottom of that report, that maybe some agents will say, hey, they're unengaged, they're all there for a reason. And I don't think any single one of them signed up with the Allstate or the Michigan Farm Bureau and said, hey, I'm going to be an unengaged agent, I'm going to be down at this bottom of this report. I don't think anybody ever signed up to do that. Something's happened along the way where they've gotten distracted, they've lost focus. And let's not forget, as I tell my team, all right, most of them are living pretty good lives as it is.
For sure.
So it probably bothers us more than it bothers them.
I guarantee
that they're quote unquote unengaged or not engaged.
Yeah, like it's hard for me, because running Front Runner and working with agents every day, because we're all thinking about growth and how do you get your agency to the top, and how do you move and insure more lives, and all of the different aspects, right? We're a forward progression type thought. So when it comes to an agent who's not active in their agency, now again, maybe that's not important to them. Maybe the important thing was to build some sort of a book and then kind of retire. I'm not talking about that person. What I'm talking about is, I think there's a possibility that you've got agents who have been beaten up, because here's the reality: this business is hard, and they've been beaten up, slugged it out. And the reality is that they've just not had anybody to coach them back into their seat. Anytime I've gotten coaching, and I get it regularly, I still get it regularly, I leave feeling energized and excited to go after whatever it is I'm going after. I shared in last week's podcast that it's kind of like a friend. And, I've heard the illustration before that a friendship is there. And what you do, the point of the friendship is that you teach each other your song or what you're all about. And where friendships come in handy is when your friend forgets their song, you sing it back to them so that they can hear the lyrics all over again. And that's played out so true in my life, that whenever I got discouraged about ministry or Front Runner or whatever, there's always a friend who sung my song back to me and re-engaged me for the work again. And I have to think that agents that don't have a coach or a network or a group to be a part of can forget their song. They forget why they started in the first place.
100%. I'll tell you, he's not an agent anymore. Ernie Dell was one of the first agents who really turned me on to the whole thing of coaching. He's a State Farm agent in Manahawkin, New Jersey. And again, when I started, I knew nothing. I knew absolutely nothing. The company wanted me to go out there and say, get all these guys to sign up for this and write life and this and that. But I didn't even know anything about life insurance, so I couldn't do it. And Ernie Dell was all the way at the bottom of the production charts. And driving to his office, I was almost afraid to go see him because of this perception everybody had of him. Go see Ernie last. He's an old stick in the mud. He's going to chew you up. He's going to throw you out of the office. And because he was all the way down at the bottom and never came to meetings. So I go into his office because I'm going to see everybody. I'm going to at least shake everybody's hand. This guy makes me wait 30 minutes in a sitting room. And after 30 minutes, he finally comes in and he looks me dead in the eye and he goes, what the hell are you doing here?
Wow.
Because he knew who I was. I was the company guy. And I said, Ernie, I'm just here to wish you a happy birthday. He looks at me, and I hope I can say this word online, but he looks at me and goes, bullshit. What are you doing here? And I said, I'm here to, he goes, and then he comes and he goes, how'd you know it was my birthday? I said, there were birthday cards outside. And he said to me, that broke him down. And we ended up spending about an hour together. And he said to me, Tim, the only one who said, I get your AFO birthday card every year, but I know the secretary signs all your names. And the only time somebody comes to see me is when they want me to sign up for that promotion or sign up for
Sure.
this, sign up for that. And I think you're here just because you wanted to meet me. And just having a really easy conversation with him, I reminded him of his song, to use your words, of what it is that he's actually there for. He had lost his way and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And it took somebody just coming in to say, to listen to him and just talk to him a little bit about what he does and what he wants for his team. All of a sudden he found it. He found his song again and went out in the last 9 years of his career as a traveling agent. At the
Wow.
time, they had something called Inner Circle before it was called Chairman's Circle. And he went out on top. And it was all because somebody reminded him of a song and
Mhm.
somebody listened to him.
Wow.
And without just trying to sell him on a program or sell him on hey, you got to do this because. So
Yeah.
a couple of things coming together for you.
Man, I love that because it sounds like what you did is you led with relationship. And honestly, Tim, that doesn't surprise me because that's how you've conducted yourself the whole time I've known you. And I think one of the things that I've loved about, when front runners gotten a chance to be a part of, either agents convention and now it's more, national study group is that and then your leadership as well in Soaring Eagle is anytime you're running an event, I never feel like a number or someone who's here just to help underwrite the event. It's always about the relationship, and it's in the way that you promote even vendors. So I know that's from an authentic place.
Yeah, I thank you for that because without speaking, I'm sure David Arcee at Soaring Eagle would say the same thing. Without the support of the vendors that he uses, that event doesn't happen. Without when we were doing our agents convention dating
Mhm.
all the way back to 2004, and we now call it the National Study Group. We can't do those events without the vendors. And I've been the vendor. I've gone to meetings where I'm unloading boxes myself. I don't know where I'm setting up, and it's like I feel like I'm not even noticed. And then that's not a good place to be if you're
Right.
a vendor. It's just the relationship is so important. It is so important. We have a mantra at the study group and 212 for our convention is you work for people as if they've already hired you, and you just give. You just keep giving. Give, 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 give. It's about the relationship. And people, you've heard this before, people do business with those they like.
Yep.
And that comes true. So
Yeah, it's the whole no like trust type thing. So
yeah.
okay, well, hey, I know your time is super valuable, Tim. I'm
Okay.
grateful for it, but I do want to ask this. So pretend I'm an agent who's just struggling, has never engaged in a coaching relationship. But I want to get my agency back to health. Heck, I want to personally be back in health in terms of my outlook as a business owner. Where do I start? Where something I know every agent's different and every
Yeah.
agent has different goals in mind and different problems and things in their agency. But in general, if I'm an agent sitting here listening to the podcast, where do I start to say, okay, I'm going to give this coaching relationship a try?
You find somebody that when you look at them and you first hear them talk, you say, I want to just have a conversation with this person. I want to find somebody that's willing to have a conversation with you and somebody that's willing to listen to you. Now, this could be another agent in your town. It could be somebody outside of your industry. It could be somebody much younger than you, could be somebody much older than you, but just
Mhm.
find somebody that you want to have a conversation with. And you feel comfortable enough to say, this is what's good and this is what's not good. And can you give me a couple pieces of advice? What would you do, or what would somebody in my shoes do based on my set of circumstances? So I think the thing is, before you dive into anything that's going to say, oh, it's going to be this, we're going to put you on a platform where you're talking 12 times, just seek to have a conversation with
Yeah.
somebody where you can just allow yourself to be open, allow yourself to be vulnerable, and then make sure that whoever is most important to you in your life, whether it's your office manager, it's your spouse, your partner, your significant other, make sure that they know that you're going to take this step.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, because if you just you got to make sure that somebody's there just encouraging you, because not everything the coach says is going to be like, oh my God, yeah, I'm doing it. There's going to be some hard things the coach is going to say that you're not always going to agree with. And so having that support mechanism, whether it be your office manager or your significant other saying to you, hey, this is why you're doing it, is really important. So two things: look for somebody to have a conversation with before you say, I'm getting involved in coaching. Just talk to somebody to make sure that it's the right fit. And then make sure somebody around you is there to kind of stand behind you. And, through different religions and different other things, you usually have a sponsor. Okay. You hear these things about make sure you got a sponsor. Somebody's going to kind of be behind you to say, no, it's okay. It's okay. And, just keep going. Trust the process. Those would be the first two steps, I would say.
Boy, those are two really good steps. And as I was thinking of something you said triggered in my mind. You said tell someone that you're going to get coaching because they're going to keep you into it. And what I thought of is whoever you engage in coaching, I would, number one, highly recommend Tim Linden, but whoever you get that's going to be a fit for you in your agency, make sure that it's not somebody who just tells you all the things that they love about you. You're not hiring a cheerleader. You're hiring a coach. And what do coaches do? They share the good, they share the bad, but they share it in a way that motivates and inspires you and gives you this constructive criticism to move your agency forward. So if you're in a coaching relationship right now and that coach or that group, it doesn't feel freedom to tell you some blind spots and some things that you're doing wrong, either number one, they're the wrong coach, or number two, they for some reason don't feel like they have permission to say that. Right. And so I think it could be either one, but you need a coach. Well, here's the deal. I can't end the episode without talking about, again, I know you don't like ringing your bell, so I'll ring it for you. Your 212 coach helps thousands of agents and agencies, team members across the country do what they do better. I need our listeners to hear about you if they've never heard of your 212 coach. So could you tell us a little bit about your program, how you do? I know you did a little bit at the top, but how do people tell us a little bit more? And then how do people engage your 212 coach and then maybe this national study group that I keep talking about? So could you share a bit more about that as we wrap up today?
Yeah, absolutely. How do you connect with us? My phone number is out everywhere. It's 908 907 3857. That's the best way to connect with us. You can go to websites and all that sort of stuff, but reach out to us and just send us a text message and just say, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Agents are engaged in us to help them, of course, write more life insurance and auto insurance. But agents are looking to us really for somebody to listen, somebody that will listen to them and be available to them. I say we're available 24/7, 365. A coach is not somebody that's only available in a Zoom room. Reach out to us through the number I gave you, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what's happening, whether it's controllable, uncontrollable, whether it has to do with your business or something else. Our philosophy is always going to be to listen, to work for you as if you've already hired us. We'll give you as much of our attention we can. We will care about you as much as you care about yourself. So whatever it is you share with us, we're going to make sure it's a priority to us as well. So,
prior to moving on, share that number one more time, Tim, if you don't mind.
Sure. 908 907 3857.
Great. Yeah, I thought I had gotten a number wrong there, so I took it down. 908 907 3857. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you saw the other number that scrolled across, ignore it. It's the wrong number. This one's right. 908 907 3857.
Yeah, and we'll help you get what we call 1 degree better at a time. One thing at a time. I can't help you change your auto production and your life production in one setting, but let's work on your auto today, get that better, and then we'll do your life production. Or let's work on a relationship you have with your team member, and before we get into something else. So that's our work at 212, and the National Study Group is about getting myself and other vendors out into the community and hosting local events. So we have chapters all over the country. From Florida all the way up to Anchorage, Alaska, down to California, where if you think about in the old days, agency managers used to sponsor territory meetings
Yeah.
where agents and their team members could come out and get together, be a resource for each other. Our pride and joy is our annual meeting in Nashville every September, but just as important are these chapter meetings we're having. So the National Study Group is about getting agents together, team members together, to be a resource for each other. I said earlier, all of us are stronger than any one of us. And our members, the members of our study group include not just agents, but we've got Damon West, Coach Burt, David McKnight, all these speakers. Agents and business owners go to these major territory meetings where
Yeah.
your companies hire these, $30,000 an hour speakers. We hire these same guys so that they can deliver that a message to our members and their team members. So we're doing great. And the study group is off to a flying start in about 1 year of existence. They have probably about 400 members already. And it's all a group of agents that just want to be part of something that's greater than themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the last one, Front Runner was not able to get to the last one, but when I started talking to vendors and agents that went to it, they couldn't stop talking about it. So
That was a good event.
So it's something that you need to engage. And if you want to do that, you can go to your212coach.com. That's YOUR. The number's 212coach.com. You can see all kinds of ways that you can engage Tim and his team, the National Study Group, all kinds of stuff right there on that website. You need to mark that down. Go check that out.
Awesome.
That would be huge. So, Tim, hey, thanks again for your time today on the topic of why you need a coach. So, any final words for us before we wrap up this episode?
All of us are better, stronger than any one of us. So thank you for bringing me on this call today. And listen, one thing at a time. Just everybody remember, one thing at a time. We'll get there. Okay. You'll get there.
Perfect. Yeah. One thing at a time. If you don't remember anything else about the podcast, one thing at a time, and you need a coach to help you get there. Well, that's a wrap on episode number 24 of To the Front. We hope you enjoyed it. And tell a friend, share it, get it out. We don't make any money on the podcast. We really do it just for you and to move the ball forward. Like Coach Tim Lindon said, 1 degree at a time. Next episode, you don't want to miss it. Episode 25. Check out this topic. The number one leadership hack I've ever heard. That's the topic. That's going to be the next podcast. The number one leadership hack that I've ever heard, and then I've personally even implemented in my businesses that I believe can change your agency. That's going to be on the next episode of To the Front. Until then, lead your agency with courage. Lead it for something bigger than money and fame and prestige. Lead it for something that we think is going to last a whole lot longer than that. Until then, take care. See you next time.